Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be here and share with you some of the latest findings that OneStone Consulting will publish in a new multi-client market report. We have seen that the market for oil and gas well cements has grown from 4.5 million tons in 2005 to 7.7 million tons in 2013. And over the next 30 minutes, I will explain where this growth comes from and what the market drivers are for this growth. During the course of my presentation, I will give you a taste of some of the findings that are available in our market report. I know the sector is challenging and that for the cement industry there are a lot of new and complex issues arising in the oil and gas industry. Well, integrity. We are all aware of the incredible ecological and financial damage that results from a well blowout. The implications of this kind of disasters are worldwide, and the reputation of the companies involved, as well as the oil and gas industry as a whole, is affected. We can't allow these things to happen. Safety cannot be compromised, and we need to develop safer processes and conduct more research into these topics. You are probably all familiar how oil and gas wells are constructed. Whether it's an onshore or offshore well, there are a number of casings, as you see from the slides, that have to be cemented, not just for the vertical drilling, but also for the horizontal drilling. The casings must be cemented to prevent formation fluids from moving through the casing annulus and to protect petroleum and water zones. You can see from the structures that well cementing goes in 7 stages. In no case can the cement used be allowed to fail. We have already seen from the Deepwater Horizon accident that primary cement failure was a direct cause of the blowout. For this high pressure, high temperature application, a foam cement slurry was used, which was unstable and the cement density was incorrect to block the hydrocarbons from moving up inside the well annulus to the surface. Furthermore, the negative pressure test was accepted, although well integrity had been established. In the Gulf of Mexico, so the GOM, there are a significant number of oil and gas wells with sustained casing pressure. So sustained casing pressure, SCP, results from inadequate zonal isolation, respectively when the annulus cement barrier doesn't isolate the hydrocarbons. This is especially true for gas wells, which have a 50% SCP probability when they are 15 years old. We can't afford to use cheap cements or inadequate cementing. The results can be catastrophic. But it's not only cementing which affects the integrity of a well. In 2006, a well integrity survey was run for the oil and gas wells located in the Norwegian continental shelf. And 75 out of 406 audited wells reported a well integrity failure issue. It seems that in the last few years, you can see it from the upper chart, the challenges have increased and that more wells have problems. But it's not just the cementing that can go wrong. As you can see from the lower chart, cementing is significant but not the largest cause. Is just 11% of the failures. It must also be noted that this audit was done on wells operated by BP, ConocoPhillips, ExxonMobil, Hydro, Shell, and so on, which are the most or some of the most reputable oil and gas companies in the sector. What I hope that I have shown you in the last few slides is that cement is being used in very challenging conditions where we cannot afford to have a failure. And the challenges are getting worse. We need regulations which will reduce the risks, and this is in spite of the fact that the number of cement formulations are increasing and are becoming more and more complex. Let us have a look to the oil and gas trends. This chart shows the exploration and production spending of the oil and gas industry in billion US dollars, as well as the West Texas Intermediate oil price. You can see from the chart that the capex has increased from about 175 billion US dollars in 1995 to about 680 billion US dollars in 2013, with a forecasted 765 billion US dollars in 2015. You can also see that there is a close correlation between capex and oil price. So we can assume that if oil prices rise, so will capex and vice versa. Clearly, this is an indicator for the market trend of oil cements. Other important market drivers include the global energy demand, which you can see will grow by 35% in the coming years. And the problem is that reservoirs are depleting faster than previously, which means more reservoirs have to be found and drilled. The new discoveries are more and more in new frontier areas that are much deeper than before, which creates new challenges for the cement producers and users. Tight oil and gas is clearly an opportunity, but these wells deplete very quickly, and so more and more wells have to be drilled and constructed. All this will require the commitment of more capex. Take a look at this chart, which shows the new oil and gas discoveries in the year 2012. On the left-hand axis, we have the reservoir size, and on the right-hand axis, we have the number of discoveries. You will see that in spite of the fact that the highest number of new discoveries had been onshore, the largest resources had been found offshore. It's a clear trend from shallow to ultra-deep water. This slide shows the geographic breakdown of the forecasted offshore capex from 2012 to 2018. The size of the circles indicates the anticipated capex by region, whilst the colors indicate in what terrain this money is likely to be spent. You can see the total capex will be about 700 billion US dollar, with about 60% spent in shallow water expenditure and 20% respectively for deep water and ultra deep water. The highest shares in ultra deep water will be North America, with the Gulf of Mexico, Latin America, this is especially in Brazil, and Africa, with West Africa. The information that we got from infield indicates that Asia and Europe will see a higher spending than North America, Latin America, and Africa, which are commonly referred to as the Golden Triangle. Let us also have a look to the US tight oil and gas resources. There are 6 main geologic formations, of which the largest resources are in Permian Basin, Bacon, and Eagle Ford. This chart shows very little increase in the oil production from now on, and that the maximum production of 2.8 million barrels a day is not so much when compared to the global daily oil production of more than 90 million barrels a day. What is interesting is that the production comes from wells which produce very little oil, but require a large amount of cement in the completion. Let us have a closer look to the latest Eagle Ford production figures, which are supplied by the US Energy Information Administration. Eagle Ford is located in Texas, close to Dallas. From 2009 to the present day, the oil production has increased from 50,000 barrels a day to more than 1 million barrels a day. And over this period, the number of oil wells has increased from 40 to about 1,260, and the number of gas wells from 67 to 855. So from January to December 2013, the production from new wells was 120,000 barrels a day, while the legacy production change, which comes from the depletion of the oil wells, amounted to 91,000 barrels a day. So the net change was just 29,000 barrels a day, with a large number of new wells. So if they want to keep the oil production volumes, they have to build more wells, and the total number of wells will grow rapidly. Worldwide, the challenges for oil and gas wells increase. In Russia, the average well depth increased from about 2,400 meters in 2005 to more than 3,200 meters in 2012. And the well depth is forecasted to grow by 4.2% compound annual growth rate to about 3,650 meters in 2015. And even higher growth is in the horizontal drilling distance. The projected increase is from less than 1,400 in 2009 to about 4,000 meters in 2015. In the same way as the well depth and horizontal drilling lengths increase, so will the volume of cement used increase. Now let us have a look to the oil field services and how this will affect cementing. Analysts, investment brokers, and last but not least journalists speak about the oil field services boom. This comes mainly from the latest quarterly results posted by the oil field services companies, which have given reason to be optimistic about the prospects of the industry. What we know about the OFS market, so the oil field services market, is that it will grow by about 7.5% compound annual growth rate from $340 billion in 2013 to $480 billion in 2018. You may wonder if this growth can be assumed for well cementing, as you might think. But well cementing is growing even faster. Here we have the development of the global pressure pumping services market. The market was growing rapidly until 2008. Then there was a huge dip in 2009 due to the global crisis and cutting investments. But from 2010, the compound annual growth rate is 27% to a market size of $51 billion. This growth is largely attributable to the growth in tight oil and gas in the Americas. If the OFS market continues to grow as shown in the last chart, then we can anticipate that pressure pumping will also continue to grow with about 25% compound annual growth rate, which from our point of view is likely due to the increasing number of new tight oil and gas wells, not just in the Americas but also worldwide. Now I come to the cementing market. The chart shows how the three segments of the pressure pumping market developed from 2010 to 2012. The largest segment is well stimulation or fracturing, the smallest is sand control, and cementing is in between. It is particularly increasing to see how the market for cementing has increased in just 2 years from $7.5 billion to $10.6 billion in 2012. If the market trends continue at almost 20% compound annual growth rate, cementing will have a size in excess of $25 billion by 2017. What we have learned is that the OFS market will grow by 7.7% compound annual growth rate to about $480 billion in 2018. Pressure pumping is the largest segment with a huge compound annual growth rate. And cementing services make up $10.6 billion in 2012 and will likely grow to $25 billion in the next 5 years. And an important point that I would like to make is that more than 100,000 wells were drilled and completed in 2013 and all were cemented. Let me explain what I think are the implications of all this for the oil and gas well cement industry. This chart shows the existing well population. Interestingly, from the available statistics, the US has more than 1 million wells in operation, compared to just 700,000 in the rest of the world. But we believe Asia, Africa, Latin America, and Europe will change the picture in the coming years, and if it has not changed already. Here you can see a breakdown of the 100,000 wells that have been drilled and completed in 2013 by countries and regions. We think the US will continue to dominate, but the number of wells will be smaller due to the increased exploitation of tight oil and gas. China and Russia will continue to grow, especially in tight oil and gas, similar to the US. However, in my opinion, the figures for Latin America and the rest of the world are underestimated. And we are conducting market research at the moment to get more accurate figures. Up to now, no figures were available for the global oil well cement production. This slide shows the results of the OneStone research, and you can see that the market has increased from 4.8 million tons in 2005 to 7.7 million tons in 2013. The compound annual growth since 2010 has been 16%. Interestingly, whilst the US remains the biggest producer, a significant amount of cement is being produced by China, Russia, and Canada, and in countries other than the Big Four. And China has dramatically increased its production to equal that of the US. We are able to identify the countries and producers which have an API 10A license for oil well cement, which you know is the most followed global standard. So of the 71 existing licenses in 32 countries, China is leading with 17, followed by the US and Russia, each having 4 licenses. In our opinion, it is unlikely that any of the companies operating in these countries would spend money on the license unless they produce a significant quantity of these special cements. What is also interesting to see is the number of new applications for licenses, which are dominated by China and the Middle East, and not the USA, which has cancelled or withdrawn from 8 licenses in the last few years. China also shows considerable interest in Class H cements, which is one of the most widely used oil cements, including deep water and other challenging conditions. This chart shows the largest oil cement manufacturers by number of production plants, including the top cement industry brands. Leading suppliers are Lafarge, Holcim, and Butzi Unichem, with 11, 7, and 5 manufacturing plants. It is important to note that a significant amount of cement is produced by other sources and producers. We have identified a lot of new technology trends in well cementing, so some of these trends really help in the consumption of cements, others are against it. So here I show just 2 trends which help in the amount of cements. So 2 of the most important firstly include the need for lightweight cement formulations in high pressure, high temperature applications, which is fulfilled by using high strength hollow microspheres. And secondly, the success of new cemented liners for the horizontal frac sections in tight oil and gas well completion that improve the production rates by 75%. Okay, I've finished with my presentation. In summary, we are all part of a dynamic and developing industry which has the responsibility to ensure that its products are manufactured to the strictest standards to avoid disasters. At the moment, the market value of oil cements stands at about $2.3 billion US. And there are significant growth opportunities in the manufacture and development of oil cements for even more challenging conditions. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much indeed, Joe, for a very interesting panoptic overview of trends in oil well cement production. Are there any questions from the floor?
Global Well Cem from OneStone Consulting. Thank you for your presentation. Do you have some statistics about the projection in the Middle East, particularly in the GCC, the demand of oil and cement?
Yeah.
How it will be in the coming 5 years?
Yes, we have. But to be honest, I would not like to show this projections today. You can read all this in our market report, so which will be out in hopefully end of March this year.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for a good presentation. My name is Vipin. I'm a digital manager in the Middle East. One question I had is that, do you have some trends on what do you see as growth in non-proclaim based or let's say slag patch mixes for oil and cement?
Yeah. You know, there are a number of additives which go with oil well cement, and it's not just retardants and so on. It's a number of really additives that are used, and we also have figures for these additives, and we will also provide in our market report, we say market values for this. And for sure, this is a trend which is ongoing and it's developing, and it goes a little bit away, let me say, from slag, which is additive. It goes more to, as I showed, to microspheres and things like this, and this has to do with the challenging conditions and that the worlds are even more challenging in the future. So it goes a little bit away from fly ash, slag and so on to other products.
Question down here, just wait for the microphone, please.
Doctor, I'm Poon from March, Malaysia. The same question, because I think in your presentation you are talking about oil well cement. That's why the scope of the oil wells only restricted to API PNA, or there will be others procurement, or even others additive, and also like slag, and also even ashes inside. So that's why I think the figures might be magnified if you were to put in those additive and also even other cement like OPC.
I didn't get quite the question. Can you repeat it?
Oh no, I'm talking about in your slide you're talking about oil well cement.
Yes.
But the definitions of oil well cement is only restricted to API PNA like in your presentation.
Yeah, the question really is, you're only looking at API certified cements. So the question is, what about non-API certified cements that are also used in the cementing industry?
And also there will be others porcelains, even not API, which is OPC, or the important cement being used.
this is a good question. Thank you very much for the question. So the point is that, let me say, our market figures, what I show now, this 7.7 million tons, this includes all cements. I just showed, let me say, the API licenses, and for sure there are much more oil cement producers which go after specific standards in Russia and China and so on. And so the problem is that the figures are not so well advanced from the, let me say, other producers which don't produce API cements. But nevertheless, we get some statistics, and we did some interviews to these companies. And so there's, for instance, a lot of extra cement, what is really interesting in the US, which is produced by other standards. Yeah. And it's even more in China, it's even more in Russia and so on.
But it has to be said that it's almost impossible to count the tonnages of cement that are used for cementing jobs that are not API certified. They won't show up on any statistics anyway.
Yeah, there are some figures about it, but these are not, you cannot really believe all the figures which are published sometimes. Even if you look at the figures which are published for how many wells exist worldwide, and the rig counts is a nice number. So if you look at the rig counts, forget about what is said about the rest of the world. The rest is nicely covered in this, but the rest of the world is completely not covered. And this is the same with the cements.
Another question.
David Kulakowski, Impact Fluid Solutions. One thing I found interesting, when you were talking about China, you said that they were building Class 8 cement, and what I've observed is most of the countries outside the U.S. use Class G. Why is it that you believe that the Chinese are making H instead of G? Thank you.
Yeah, for sure it has to do with their market knowledge about cements, and it has to do with the specific China approach. Yeah. You're right that Class G cements is the most widely used cement type. Yeah. But H cements, and there are also these E cements and so which go for really deep wells. And so it all depends on, let me say, the specific producers, what they think their market is and how they can sell it, let me say, to the cementing companies. That's all in between, and what the cementing companies are looking after. So I think this is the question, what they tell the cement producers.
Rami Reversal, a great presentation. Just to get off topic a little bit, do you have also the same in-depth information about the simulation? I've noticed one of your slides had the total pressure pumping, or are you just focused on cementing?
I also did not quite get your question, so can you...
You had a slide up there that was talking about pressure pumping in general, and the increase in trend in the three major pressure simulations and control and cementing. Do you have the same information with regards to simulations and control?
Yeah, so I'm not so sure, because you can find such kind of information, you can find in other reports. There's one company which I really can recommend, this is Spears and Associates. They publish lots of good figures. There are lots of other companies where I'm not so sure whether these figures are really well researched and so on. So the question is, we really will focus on cementing issues in our report.
We have another question.
Michael Pack with Bank of Germany. I've got two questions actually. One is, what's the formula, the algorithm behind your estimated volume of 7.7 million? Are you basing that somehow on the numbers of wells drilled? The second one is horizontal drilling and multi-level drilling. I think this is all known to us here. Would you expect that increasing the volume of cement of being used per well, or is that more or less a decreasing factor?
Yeah, there are many issues around your question, so I will not really tell you where our 7.7 figure comes from, but we are known to the cement industry. We are doing really good research. I think this shall answer your question. And the second point is, so there are different trends and also in horizontal drilling. And one trend has to do with, let me say, the advanced ceramics that are used instead of the sand. And with the advanced ceramics, yeah, you can do you have much higher production figures, yeah, and this affects also cementing. Then there's another trend with coil tubing, for instance, coil tubing that goes to microverts and so on. This is counteractive to cementing, because for these microverts you need much less cement. All this is market picture that you will find in our market report.
Time for one final question, I think. I think there's one question more. Here.
Syed Purpose from Simultaneous National in London. Thank you for this very important presentation. In your presentation, you mentioned about the importance of the consistency of cement quality. Could you please advise me about the factor affecting the HD thickening time in the cement?
If you like to do it, so we can discuss it later. I think Robert is now looking for this presentation here. We can discuss it.
And in fact, there are several other papers that are specifically on these topics later on in the conference, so hopefully you'll be able to get some answers there as well. That's unfortunately all the time we have for questions, but you'll join me in thanking Joe for his very good presentation.